Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. And before I get into this crazy story, um, it's about what was supposed to happen on Wednesday with this eye. I was supposed to have surgery. I did not go through with it. Um, and it took me a day before I could even really calm down about it, because human beings are meaning making machines. And before I started making this mean all sorts of crazy things that could disempower me, make me crazy, piss me off so bad that I end up going into a funk about it or whatever, I had to clear with my best friend about it. And I completely stayed off of all social media platforms until I could do so. Because, okay, once you hear what happened, you're going to understand. But I'm going to tell you the end before I tell you the beginning and the entire story, which is that we decided, he and I decided that for some divine reason, I dodged a bullet. There was so many things that were so fucked up and screwed up about this scenario that, once you hear this story, you're going to say, see, I was not supposed to have this surgery on that day. Something would have happened, something unforeseen. And I'm going to tell you some of the scenarios that I was running through my head and over the phone with my best friend about this. So it was doomed from the gate. First of all, and this is just a side note that did not happen Wednesday, but I'm dealing with a civilian surgeon through a VA choice program, the VA choice program. And if anybody knows anything about, has been reading anything about VA choice, they'll know that that system, that program is extremely broken, as is the Veterans Administration itself. Is so inefficient and so full of crap that I have made a commitment to myself some way, somehow, to be able to affect transformation within the VA system. Big task, right? Huge task, because they're part of the government, and the government is broken. And so anything that has to do with the government is broken, especially depending on who you are, what you are to this government, to this society. I've got lots of strikes against me. So I think I deal with more than my share of bullshit within this system, because I am an alpha male. I don't put up with shit from people. I'm not a step it and fetch it like a lot of these southerners are down here. I'm just not that dude. I'm not from this area, but I'm in the South, and I am finding out how incredibly regressive and backwards that businesses are down here. The VA I go to is one of the worst in the region, and they have managed to convince the employees working for the VA down here that things are getting better. You know what I told one of them employees? I want you to spend one night in the emergency room of the VA here, and then tell me it's getting better. Anytime I've ever gone there, I'm there at a minimum of 6 hours before I'm even seeing. But anyway, so let's tell this story. It was doomed from the gate. Okay. I got told on Tuesday the lady's name that would be picking me up on Wednesday. I told them Monday what time the surgery was going to be. And so I got the lady's name. I had a very cool conversation with the guy who did the scheduling for this particular company that I'm not, until things get all sorted out, I'm not going to mention anybody's name or the name of the company. Not my surgeon, not, well, I mentioned the VA. All of this is supposed to be coordinated through the VA, but through this entire process, which has been over a year now, before they figured out what was wrong with my eyes, I have had to do my own activism and coordination between that surgeon, the employees of that surgeon, VA Choice, and the VA, and the eye department inside of the VA. I've had to do all of that because they are just shiftless and lazy down here as far as I'm concerned. So I had a good conversation with the guy, and we laughed a lot. He was just as off the chain and crazy as I was, and he ultimately ended up saying, "I can't with you, Mr. Gibson," because I was just being myself. I was just being crazy and saying just about every and anything. So I gave him the gate code because they had forgot to put that in their computer, and my, made sure my apartment number was in there because that was missing too. But I put all of that information in the application, or in the paperwork of this company that was going to transport me there, stay with me through the entire procedure, and then bring me home. So probably like 50 minutes before this lady showed up, I called them and said, look, if she gets through the gate, because sometimes the thing is open, if she gets through the gate, have her give me a call and I'll come out. Having no intentions of telling them why I wanted it to be that way, but that's the way I wanted it to be. I don't want, I don't care if they're bonded, licensed, I don't care if they've got insurance, I don't care. I don't want strangers in my house. So, there's too much crime in this city. It doesn't matter where you live here, in this metropolitan, huge-ass area. There's just too much crime here. And I don't trust people, unless I know them. So I told them, well, if she gets through the gate, just have her give me a call. They said, well, no, she'll call us. I said, oh, okay. All right, well, if she calls you, somebody call me, and then I'll just meet her out front. They said, okay. So I'm sitting here, and about 15 minutes later, I get a knock on the door. So I get up and do my typical scary man voice, who is it? I knew who it was, but I was annoyed from the get-go that they didn't talk to her. They didn't tell her, don't come knocking on my door. And so when she said who it was, I just opened the door crack and I told her, give me 5 minutes, I'll be right out. So I shut the door. I get to her car and I said, well, you want me to sit in the front seat or the back seat? Doesn't matter to me. She said front seat. So I pull around to the passenger seat, and I take one look in this supposed healthcare type worker's car. And it was junky and filthy inside. So I'm like, okay. So I opened the door. I went to get in, and there was all sorts of stuff on the floor in the front seat, on the front seat, on the floor in the front seat. So I had to, she didn't even try to move me that crap to the back, which I couldn't have even gotten in the back because there was so much shit in the back of her car. So I get in, I squeeze my legs over to the right because there was crap on the left, including this great big huge purse of hers. And I closed the door and I said, okay, I'm ready. She said, where are we going? I said, you don't know where we're going? And I had the piece of paper for the name of the hospital, the address, everything on a piece of paper. So I just handed her the piece of paper. I didn't say anything. I said, this is where we're going. I have surgery. And we need to get going. So she says, oh, okay. And she's punching it into her phone, the address into her phone. And then I'm starting to already forget the details, but she said something to made me take my phone out and put the address in my phone and start the GPS. I'm not sure what she said, but so I started the GPS, and she made a comment about me not letting her in my house to wait until I was ready to go. And I just side-eyed her, but I didn't say anything. So we get to the end of the driveway to get onto the main, to get on the road to make our way to the freeway. And she starts to turn another direction, which would have taken longer to get to the freeway. And I said, no, you need to turn right. The GPS said turn right. And she said, well, I'm going to turn left. She said, I used to live here. I said, I don't care. I'm paying by the mile. So you need to turn right because the freeway is right over there. The way you get ready to turn, it would have taken longer to get there. And a bunch of more extra stoplights. So she says, oh, okay, well, I used to live here, and I used to live in this complex, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, good God. So anyway, she took a ride, and we get to the freeway, and she starts complaining about the freeway. Being afraid of trucks, being afraid of the freeway. And I'm like, uh-oh, what is going on here, right? So I go to turn off my GPS, and she says, no, don't turn it off. I said, why not? She said, well, because my phone I can't hear it. I'd have to actually hold my phone and keep looking at my phone while I'm driving. I said, oh my God. And I said, okay. I just left it on. So she drives 50 miles an hour, 22 miles away, 2 freeways to get to this location, to get to this hospital. And she's complaining about trucks passing us, afraid when they were coming up behind her. And I'm just sitting there like, I can't believe this. This is a trip. I said, why are you driving for a living then, if you're afraid of trucks? I said, I'm not afraid of anything, a vehicle related. I grew up in, cold country and all this stuff. So anyway, she's continuing to complain and get nervous, and she sped up, slowed down, the entire time. Anytime a truck started coming up behind her in another lane, she started making comments and being extremely nervous, and I'm just like, God, just get me there in one piece. So at one point we were on the second freeway, and she said, oh, here comes a truck. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to look through the passenger mirror to see what kind of truck is behind us, and I looked and I didn't see a truck, right? So, a few seconds passed, and I looked, and a pickup truck goes past her because she's going slower than anybody on the freeway. Okay, and I said, "Is that the truck you were talking about?" She said, "Yeah. You know, those things jackknife." I said, "Pickup trucks don't jackknife. You're talking about 18 wheelers, and there's no 18 wheelers around here." And I said again, "Man, why are you driving for a living?" "Well, I'm from Connecticut, and I used to drive Uber and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, she drove Uber with that kind of fear going on? And I almost had to laugh, but I was starting to get annoyed because she was just talking too much. And I was already nervous. I didn't need all that extra that was coming out of her mouth when my nerves were already rattled, that I'm going to fucking major surgery under general anesthesia. So we get to the hospital, and we pull into this parking lot, and I said, "Well, you need to come in with me. You need to check in with me." But I said, we're getting pressed for time, so I'm just gonna go inside and see where the suite is. And I walked up and down one hallway, walked up and down another hallway, went up a floor because I realized all the numbers on the ground started with a G, and I couldn't find the suite number. So I go up to the second floor, which was actually the floor number 1 for that building. And I walked up down one side of that building, walked down the other side of the building, still didn't see that suite number. So now my feet are hurting. I walk with a cane when I have to walk distances. And my feet are hurting, and so I called the hospital. I had that piece of paper in my hand, and so I called the hospital, and I said, "I'm in the building, and I cannot find this suite." And they said, I told them all the numbers on the floor that I caught the elevator on started with a G, and they said, "Well, we don't have any suites that start with the letter G." I said, "Well, the building I'm in is actually red, and the picture in the building in the picture of that I had was like glass blue." They said, "Oh, you're in the next building over." Now, this lady had yet to get out of her car. Okay, then I find out. So I get back out the building. Now I'm getting annoyed, but I'm keeping it under control, right? Because when I'm standing there, she still wasn't in the lobby. She still hadn't gotten out of the car. So I had to call the company because she wouldn't give me her phone number. So I called the company. This is going to be a long video because there's a lot that happened. So I called the company. The company called her. I said, "We're in the wrong building. It's the next building over. She needs to pull back around so we can go to the next building." So she, for wherever she came from, she was parked somewhere. She was sitting in her car. She didn't even get out. So she pulls around, gets inside, and I said, "It's the next building over. Hang a left when we leave this parking lot." So she says, "Okay." So we hang a left. We go to the building, and it was the parking structure. You had to pay for it. And she says, "Well, I don't want to pay parking." And I'm like, you know what? They charge me an awful lot of money for you to be complaining as much as you're complaining about this and this and that. This is not my problem. Pull around to the front so that I can go inside and check in because I'm late. Now I'm late. She says, "Well, when you go inside, ask them if they validate parking." I said, "Okay, whatever." And I just walked away, and I went in and checked in. So I checked in. I'm getting ready to go. I'm sitting down in the waiting area, waiting to be called back. And this lady has still not come in the waiting area. So I just sit there for a minute, and I figured to get up and go walk to the door because the door was glass. So I went and walked to the door. She was actually sitting in the hallway, in this little bench that was in the hallway. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I said, you need to come in because they need to know who you are. They need your phone number. They need your information because, you know, you're responsible for me from this point on. She said, okay. So she came in, went to the front desk, gave him her information, her phone number, whatever. And then said, I'll be waiting outside. Again, I'm like, So I get up, and a nurse came and got me and took me to across the hall to get prepped. So I said, well, the lady that's with, she said, is that lady that brought you here? And I said, yeah, she's in the hallway. She's in red. So we walk out the door, and I said, there she is right there. She says, oh, okay. I said, yeah, I told him her name. And we went inside. The first miscommunication is they wanted me to take everything off. Now, they told me, the surgeon's assistant told me that they would do the whole procedure with me sitting up in a chair, but I would be under general. Which sounded odd to me at the time, but I didn't have any reason to disbelieve her. I mean, I'd never had any kind of surgery like this before, and so I believed them. So they want me to declothe. And I'm like, man. I said, like, everything? They said, yeah, everything except your underwear. I said, oh, shit. Uh-oh, here we go. So she left, pulled this curtain closed, and I declothed everything, but I left my binder on. When she came back into the room, she went through all of the information that they needed to know. They went through my medications again, which I had done on Monday through the pre-assessment. On Monday that I went to at a different hospital, but the same network. So I'm giving her all this information. I'm like, I already gave this to all the pre-assessment folks. And she's like, well, we got to make sure, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. And so she asked me, was there any, was I wearing a did I have a pacemaker or anything else like that? And I said no. And she says, well, is there anything on your body that's a wire or anything like that? And I said, well, I'm wearing a binder. And she said, a what? I said, a binder. She said, for what? And I rolled my eyes and thought, okay, here we go. I said, look, I'm wearing a binder because I'm transgender. And I just looked at her like, you know, this is extra. And so she said, oh. And I said, and the reason why I didn't say anything, and I wasn't going to say anything, is because my surgeon does not know. He has not known. That's the only way I can avoid people being weird. Okay? And I'm not going to explain what weird is. I'll do that in another video. But people with that information, suddenly their tone of voice is different. Whether they're looking you in your eye is different. The way they treat you is different. If they know this information, that is why I never told that surgeon this information. He didn't have a need to know that. They were dealing with my eyes, not any other part of my body. So she says, okay, well, okay, then is there any other medication you're on that I should know about? And I said, yeah, testosterone. And she says, okay, well, you know, how much and how often? And I told her. And she says, well, he doesn't have to know that. He doesn't have to. It's cool. You're cool with me. It's okay. You know, any kind of, all men, when they're older at your age, go low on that testosterone, so he doesn't have to know that. And we'll work with him about the binder, you know, I'll tell him something. I said, okay, cool. So I'm sitting there, the anesthesiologist comes in, and he's talking to me, blah, blah, blah. My surgeon came in and said, you're going to be wearing a patch on your eye until I see you for the follow-up tomorrow. I said, what? You told me I only had to wear it at night to keep me from poking at my eye after the surgery. You told me I would be wearing it at night. And he said, no, you'll be wearing it until I see you again. Do you have a ride to come see me? And I said, no. Why didn't you tell me this before? Meanwhile, I'm hearing all this commotion on my right. The nurses come in and they said, that lady that brought you here, she won't sign to release you from this surgery. We can't give you general anesthesia unless she signs that form that she will be responsible to get you home and safe. I said, what? Then the anesthesiologist comes in and says, well, we can change this to local anesthesia. I said, no, you can't. He says, oh, you'll be completely unconscious. I said, no, I won't. I may not be aware that I'm awake, but my body will. And you start poking me in my fucking eye with a needle, and then they had to cut the skin off my eyeball. I said, what if my body reacts and I jerk and you guys screw up my whole eye? I said, I don't like this. I'm not liking this. I said, let me call this company and get them to make her do what she's supposed to be doing. So they left the room and let me get on the phone. And hey, you guys would be proud of me. I didn't even cuss nobody out. I did cuss somebody out. I cussed that lady out later. I didn't cuss her out, but I used curse words. But during that entire time, I was just getting mad, okay? And I called the company who forwarded me to somebody who forwarded me to the manager or the head of the entire company in this region. And it went to voicemail. I left a nasty message that I needed to talk to him now, not 5 minutes from now, not 10 minutes from now. He should have answered the phone. I don't even know why that lady forwarded me to him if he wasn't going to answer the phone. And he needs to call me back right now because the woman that had brought me refused to sign for me to be checked out of there. And then they wanted to change the anesthesia because of that. And I am not going to let them do it under local anesthesia. See, I didn't have time to sit there and explain all the strange things I've done under local anesthesia. No, I wasn't. I didn't know I was awake, but my body did, and it has reacted in the past when I've had local anesthesia for various things. So I knew, oh my God, if I even flinch, if I even move while they're doing what they're doing, it could screw me up and screw my eye up. I need my eyes, folks. I wasn't ready to go blind in one eye. So they heard me. My voice carries. So they heard the entire message that I left that manager. And they came running back in. The anesthesiologist came running back in, kept trying to convince me that giving me the same medication that Michael Jackson used, I don't know why he used that name, but maybe he thought since it was a black guy that I would be convinced it would be okay to do. No. And I just looked at him like, you know what? This is not happening today. It's not happening. I'm going to get dressed. Everybody leave. I'm leaving. We're going to have to schedule. Oh. And then my surgeon came in and said, look, if you pay us, we have a service that if you pay us, we'll get somebody to come here and then take you home and sign out for you since this lady won't. I said, well, I'm not going to pay them and then you. I need to undo what the charges they're getting ready to try to charge me before I can turn around and pay you. I'm not paying two different services on the same day, not knowing whether I can get the other one undone. So, no. The answer is no. This ain't happening. Everybody out. Let me get dressed. So, I still haven't cussed anybody out yet, right? Now that's remarkable. I have a potty mouth. And as mad as I was, all they could see probably is the expression on my face, the tone of my voice, but I didn't cuss anybody out, which was amazing. I attribute that to that seminar and the peace that it gave me. I have every right to be angry, but not so enraged that I start cursing people out. So so they left. I got dressed, and I guess I must have pulled that curtain back a little too fast because all of a sudden the nurses were there. 3 different nurses were there. My surgeon was there. The anesthesiologist was there. They were all trying to order me food. Do you want any food? Do you want any food? And I said, no, I'm leaving. I need to get home and call my bank before anything goes through here. And I need to do that before 5 o'clock. In fact, I may go to my bank physically. So, and I told him, no, I'm leaving. Despite what I said, they ran out and got me some food. You know, salad, cookies, juice, something else, and came tearing back in, and it must have been only 30 seconds that this happened, that they came running back in with this food and laid it all out on this counter, and I'm like, okay, why is everybody acting so funny? I can't carry this out. I've got a cane, and I can't carry all this food out in another hand. So they went and gave me the bag that my clothes were in. Oh, that was another thing. They wanted to know if I wanted to give my valuables and stuff like that to that woman in the hallway. And I said, no, I don't actually know her. So no, I don't know her. So I'll just put all my stuff in a bag. And they said, okay, well, we'll inventory everything so that we know what valuables you have. And I didn't bring money or anything. I just brought my wallet and my phone. Those were the only valuables I had. Okay, so are you guys already going, yeah? Well, that's how I felt. And so I get my little bag of food and I leave. And I get to the woman and she said, she saw the look on my face. I was seething, mad. This was supposed to happen that day. I have a life outside of the crap that goes on around the VA system or any of that crap. I have a life, and this was going to set everything back, screw everything up that would have to work around. It's going to take another week at least to reschedule this surgery. And I'm thinking about all this stuff, but I'm looking at her. And out of her mouth comes, well, are you done? I said I would sign you out. I said, why didn't you tell the nurses? And she just kind of looked at it, and I was like, you lying ass, I walked past her, you know, and walked out the door with her following me. And we get in we start to go to the parking structure, and I don't know where her car is parked. And she's walking a little ahead of me, and she starts walking up. And we get halfway around the corner, and I'm fussing now. Now I'm fussing. Now I'm mad. You know, why didn't you sign me out? Well, I didn't know what I was signing. And I'm just a driver. I'm just like, I said, I didn't pay all the money I'm paying to pay this company for you just to be a Uber. If I wanted to take Uber, I would have taken Uber. They told me I couldn't take Uber or Lyft because nobody could sign you out in that case to take responsibility for your well-being as you're coming out of anesthesia. Well, you should have told me that. I said, I didn't have to tell you shit, lady. Don't you know your job? And she said, well, actually, I just started working yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I was so mad, I just couldn't even put really too many coherent sentences together. So we're walking up to try to go to her car, and out of her mouth comes, I don't even know where I parked. You got me so upset. And I'm like, oh, I have you upset? I wanted to knock her off her feet. You blame me for anything. It's your fault all this is happening. And then I'm upset. My surgery didn't happen. You have no idea what this is going to cause in my life. You have no idea. So she turns around and starts walking the other direction. We had to walk down another level and then around the corner, and she says, well, do you want me to pick you up? And I said, no, we're probably already there by now. I don't know. No, let's just keep walking until we get to your car. Well, since I lost your car, you know where the hell you parked. Okay, now I'm sensing her elevator didn't go all the way to the top. Okay, lights on, nobody home. Something is going on with this lady. So we get to her car and I get in and I'm just trying to keep my cool. I'm just trying to keep from cussing this lady clean the fuck out. Because, you know, she had to get back on that freeway to take me home. And I said, you know, if you think you're getting paid for this, think again. I already called the company and let them know that I'm very unhappy with what happened here today. And that all you had to do was sign me out. Make sure I didn't fall down the stairs or anything. And make sure I didn't get sick. And if I got sick, you call 911. Period. That's all you had to do. That's why I paid that service. I didn't pay for no Lyft driver. Okay, you were supposed to be more than that. And so we're driving and she's like driving all nervous again. Here we go again with the nerves on the freeway and stuff. And I don't even know how. And then she tells me she'd been in the area for 20-something years and didn't know where that hospital was. Really? So we're driving and she continues to run her mouth about all sorts of things she just did not need to be running her mouth about. I was mad. I was so livid. And so I'm just trying to ignore her. She gets off the freeway, at least 10 miles away from where I live. I'm like, why did you get off the freeway? Oh, well, I know a back way. I know it. I know. And I'm like, really? Oh, it's the freeway thing again, huh? She says, yeah, I just don't like the freeway. And I'm like, you know what? Never mind. So I'm looking out the window. I'm just trying not to look this way because if I did, I might have done like that. I mean, really, that's how mad I was. So we're taking all these back roads. I don't know where we are anymore. I'm like, I don't even know what exit we got off of or anything because I was not paying attention until I felt we were getting off the freeway. So then we're driving. She's continuing to make excuses and all this stuff that I was ready to throttle her about. And then she's like, well, you ain't got no family here? I said, that's none of your business. You know, don't... And she continued to tell me they didn't tell her anything about why she was showing up at my house and stuff like that. They didn't tell her anything and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you know, I don't really want to talk to you. Just get me home. Safe and sound. And, but that didn't stop her. She kept talking. You know, I found out she was 67 years old. She looked tore up from the floor up. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, then she says, you know, I used to be a CNA. I said, then I went off. Then I cussed her clean the hell off. If you were a CNA, my ex-fiance was a CNA. You should have known the procedure. You should have known what you were going to sign. You should have known all of this stuff if you were a CNA. Well, I've never driven anybody to a surgery. I said, really? And you're a CNA? I said, I know everything my girlfriend did. And she drove people to surgery. She drove people around town. She even drove people to the store. You know, well, then you should have let me know what I was going to do. All your medications, all blah, blah. I said, no, that was none of your business either. If you be a CNA, the only people who needed to know that were the nurses and the surgeons. Not you. You were here to make sure I got home safe. I said, don't fucking talk to me, lady. Don't talk to me anymore. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. You aren't making any sense. Just get me on. And where are we anyway? I mean, I was getting livid. I was like, yeah, well, I am taking the side streets because I wanted to avoid the freeway. And I said, you know, you shouldn't be driving for a living at all. You know, you knew that this was why you working for this company. You may not have known what they were sending you to do, but you knew you had to drive. And you knew it was 22 miles away. Unless they didn't tell you that either. And she said, well, they didn't. I'm like, you know what? Now I don't even believe in a word she said. I'm just like, hurry up. God, hurry up and get this car home. Get me home because I'm getting ready to just go completely psycho on this lady who was already psycho. She was extra. So we finally get to my place And I just didn't even say anything the rest of the time. I didn't say anything. I just got my stuff, got out of the car, shut the door, and walked away. And she left. And as soon as I got in the house, the first call the first call I made was to that company. I was gonna blow them up, right? They put me on hold. So I hang up, call my bank, filed a claim against the charge was sitting there pending because I looked that up before I called them. So I called my bank. I filed a claim, a stop payment, and while I was taking care of that over the phone, they had called me and left a message, but I didn't answer the phone because I wanted to make doggone sure they weren't going to get paid for that nonsense. So, oh my God. Okay, I've been talking a while. This is a crazy story, you guys. So, so after I made sure the bank part was taken care of, I called them back. And they said, well, we're going to hook you to this guy. And I said, the guy that did the scheduling? I said, he's not going to be able to fix this. I said, there's no way on earth I'm going to pay for this, for what happened today. What happened today should not have happened. Where is the manager that I left the message, voice message on? And they said, hold please. They put me on hold. And who answers the phone? The scheduler guy. And I'm like, oh God. So I'm going off about what happened, and he's apologizing up the yin yang. He says, we do this all the time. And I said, I was going to wonder, because I either told him or I told that dizzy ass woman how I found that service, which was given, there were flyers that they had been dropping off to surgeons all over the metro. So I told her or him, you know, you're to have someone like that around, to be having those people take care of people like this is a problem with integrity with me all the way around. Well, she wasn't the sharpest pencil in the pencil. I said she wasn't even a dull crayon. Okay, something was wrong with that woman. And I don't know why you didn't tell her what she was coming to, why she was picking me up, where she was taking me, all the stuff she said you didn't say. And they said, oh, we did tell her, but we just hired her yesterday. Which she did tell me in the car, is they called me at the last minute and told me to come pick you up. The next day, I was like, oh, for Christ's sake. So I'm fussing at him. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't know what y'all trying to pull here, but you need to reverse these charges real freaking quick so I can find somebody else. In fact, use the other service that the surgeon's office in that hospital suggested. I just wasn't going to do them both in one day without that money getting back onto my card, back into my account. So, and then I started talking about the manager. And he said, and I said, where is this guy anyway? And he said, oh, he's on the line. I said, he's been listening to the... I said, you're there? And I called his name, and he said, yeah, I'm here. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, you know what? I am very unhappy. I'm very unhappy with you people. You'd be lucky if... He said, no, hold up. We're letting her go immediately. And if I have to come pick you up myself, I will do that. Go ahead and reschedule it. Tell them you can get the general. I'll make sure you get in your house safely, and everything's fine, free of charge. We're reversing everything, and we will come pick you up, get that thing rescheduled, and call us back. And I said, well, I'm not sure I want to use you still. I'm not. This whole thing was a mess. Lack of communication everywhere. Not only to me, from the anesthesiologist, to the my surgeon, to the pre-assessment stuff. They should have told me what was going to happen in surgery. They didn't tell me any of that stuff. Not that I could have thought it up by myself. I couldn't have without their telling me. Since I should have been finding all this stuff out before they were ready to wheel me back there. So, especially the changing of the anesthesia, that wasn't acceptable. So I get off the phone. I told him, well, let me go see if I can get this thing rescheduled. So I got off the phone. I called. The lady had left for the day. So I called them back and they said, there's nothing I can do about this until tomorrow. She's already gone. They said, okay, call us back. And so I didn't sleep all night. I called my best friend. I told him the whole story. I split mad when I called. And by the time we hung up, he had me laughing because he's the one that had it. My best friend, his personality is exact opposite of mine in many ways. He's as chilled out as I am hyper and animated. He's the exact opposite. So in his clear thinking, because I was just blowing a socket, he said, you know what? Maybe there was something else that was being avoided here that was divine about it. You just went, hey, something could have happened on your way home. That lady may have not seen you to your house. And she also, one last thing I'm going to say about something she said was, I don't know why you didn't let me in when I knocked on the door. And I said, because I told them that I would meet you outside. I didn't want you in my house. She says, oh, well, you ain't got nothing I want. How does she know? She never saw the inside of my place. She don't know what's in here. If that wasn't telling on herself, I don't know what was. People who don't have a guilty conscience don't have a need to say shit like that. Okay? So, I may have not come out of that anesthesia totally coherent enough to get inside of this apartment without her being in here. But interesting she should say that on the ride back, which is why I kept ignoring her. Because the more she talked, the more I was like, where the hell did they find her? Anyway, my friend convinced me that this was not supposed to happen today. And I told him the reason why I can't switch surgeons in midstream here, because I would have to start this whole doggone process all over again, have to deal with VA choice, which is broken, and have to go through all of this nonsense with a completely different surgeon. He knows the ins and outs of everything that I've been treated with already, the medications that they've put me on, these contact lenses that I'm wearing. I didn't want to go through all that over again. I just want him to get these surgeries taken care of. I didn't sleep the entire night because I was so upset. And even though I was laughing with my buddy, I still was too hyped to sleep that night. And I got up the next day, went and got my shot, which is every Thursday. But by that time, I was so exhausted. My feet were killing me. And what I had planned to do is go to the VA and then head over and talk about what happened, how to reschedule this surgery and have them swap out these contacts until that happened. I can't do it myself. I've tried. But so I have them do it every couple of weeks because they dry out to the point where they start irritating me. So, but I couldn't make it. I came straight home and went straight to bed. Did not pass go. Did not collect $200. I was exhausted and just drained from the entire ordeal. So, so it's Saturday morning. I did get a hold of that office Friday and found some more bad news about this whole thing, which is that VA choice or the VA, the VA only authorized them to do surgery on one eye when I have this problem in both eyes. So more phone calls, more leaving voice messages. I even had that surgeon's assistant on a 3-way call with me with VA choice. And together we figured out that it wasn't VA Choice who did that. It was the VA. And she told me she had dealt with lots and lots of veterans, and usually through one authorization code, all procedures are covered. But for whatever reason, in your case, Mr. Gibson, only one eye got covered. I said, well, then how long would it take to what would have to happen for the other eye to get taken care of? Oh, well, then we have to put in the paperwork for that and wait. I said, wait how long? I said, I don't know, a couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks. I said, you mean the other eye isn't going to be done for another 3 weeks? I said, no, this isn't making any sense. I said, I tell you what, scratch talking to you today. I'm going to call the VA because she gave me the name of the woman she had been talking to. And I called that number to say, why am I the exception to the rule? Why aren't my the procedures covered? Both eyes. The problem is happening in both eyes, not one eye. And what if, for whatever screwy reason, because I don't trust the VA, what if they decide they're not going to pay for the other eye? Then I don't want either eye done until y'all sort this out. So I left that message on the VA lady's phone that they need to call me back. And then I found another lady that I had been dealing with regards to this. I found her extension, left her a message that just said, call me. There's a problem with this procedure in my eyes. Well, I'm sure I'm leaving something out because this has been yesterday. Wednesday was the craziest. I had never seen that many malfunctions happen over one little freaking procedure and surgery that was supposed to be airtight that just completely melted down and fell apart. The only thing I can agree that has me laughing and talking about this calmly today is that it just wasn't supposed to happen. I was avoiding something. God was, my angels were helping me to avoid something that would have happened Wednesday had I let them use local on me and let that moron of a woman take me home. And inside of my house. It's just everything about that was not going to freaking work. So I'll get it all totally airtight, rock solid. They're going to do this under general. They're not going to give me local. And they're going to cover both eyes before I reschedule that surgery. Meanwhile, you know, I have a seminar to do in October, so I don't know what that's going to do to that, because they also can't reschedule the surgery for the other eye until they see how well this eye is doing after the surgery, the day after, and maybe even one other visit to check up on it before they schedule and see if more healing needs to happen for this eye. This is the story of the year. I've never seen anything so fucked up in all my life. Never heard of anything so screwy. And so I'm gonna. This isn't the only problem I'm having with businesses in the South, in this state. Not only that, all the racist bullshit that's going on down here too is just over the top. I can laugh about it today because this is laughable. All of the things and all the miscommunications and all the lack of integrity that was going on, including that anesthesiologist trying to talk me into giving me something that I still may have moved during the surgery. That was laughable too. They think they were dealing with an idiot. Come on. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. This goes down in the history books for me. And I'm making this video versus, because multiple people who know me on another, know me on Fuckerbook, were hitting me up and wanting to know what happened. And I didn't feel like typing this story out multiple times to people. So I told them I'm going to put it in a vlog. And You'll find out that way what happened and why the surgery. All I told him was it didn't happen. But this is why. All of these things is why it did not happen Wednesday. So next time, I'm not even going to jinx myself. I'm going to have it scheduled. I'm going to have it done. And I'm not going to say nothing until after it happens. Maybe that's part of it too. Hey, human beings are meaning-making machines. We make everything mean something. You can't even, there's nothing you can do about stopping that. There is another way of dealing with it, but you cannot stop that. You can change the meaning that you make things mean to whether it empowers you or disempowers you. That, the Landmark firm will show you how to do it. It doesn't teach. It's not a teaching thing. It is a form. It is a transformational seminar. There's really no teaching that's involved except to explain the way they're using language in the seminar. So, everybody have a good one, and Pollinator is out. Peace.